YouTube. We just finished taking apart the Glock 30, taking it completely apart, detail stripping. Here's all the pieces to the slide. Here's all the pieces to the frame. And now we need to put it all back together. So to do this, and as I mentioned in the disassembly video, I'll go ahead and mention it here as well. This procedure works for all 3-pin Glocks, meaning all Glocks that have a pin here, here, and here. For 2-pin Glocks, which only have 1 pin up here, it's a bit different. This particular handgun is a Glock Model 30, in case you're wondering. It's the subcompact 45 ACP. To reassemble the Glock, the first thing that we're going to put in is this disassembly catch. Now, physically you can put it in a couple different ways, but it will only work if it's put in correctly. To do that, you'll see that this side has a lip and this side doesn't. Okay, the side with the lip needs to face to the rear of the gun. Also, you'll see there's a little notch on the bottom here. That notch engages this spring right here, this silver flat piece of metal. Okay, so that needs to be pointed to the bottom. So it needs to go in just like this, and it slides in sideways into this hole. Okay, so what we're going to do is stick it in so it's halfway like that, resting on the spring, and then you're going to get your punch and push down on the spring while you slide that piece into place. Just push down, and slide it in sideways like that. Perfect. Alright, next piece to go in is going to be the trigger assembly. We have to put that back together first though. So take your trigger connector and you're going to put it back into the housing here. Now the housing has a groove on one side, no groove on the other, and so it'll only go together this way. Just take it, stick it in the slot there, push the two pieces back together, just like that. If you'll notice, the connector is flush against the plastic on this end there's a gap. That's by design, so don't be afraid that you bent it when you're taking it out or anything like that. That's how it's supposed to be. Okay, next we're going to connect this spring to the rest of the piece. Okay, a little hole right there. Goes in the spring like this. Okay. Now to connect the two pieces together, you're going to want to pull so that the spring flexes out. And what that allows you to do is have enough play to pivot the pieces in. Okay, that metal piece just goes into that slot right there. Now we're going to put this back into the frame. The trigger goes into this hole, and this housing goes in to this slot right here. Okay, there's a divider right here that separates the magazine well from this part of the gun. Make sure you don't get it in front because it won't go in. Put that part in. You can flex the trigger bar if you need to, so that everything will get into the right place. And then once you have it in, you just push down until it's all the way in, and that's that. Okay. Next piece, locking block. Part with the holes goes down into the frame right here. Push that in like that. Okay. Now remember when I told you that this is the first pin to come out and the first pin to go back in. I'll show you why. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put it back in. Now again, this pin is typically the stiffest to get in. still shouldn't have to pound on it when you're getting it in. You might have to a little bit to get it out. Just take the punch, push it in the rest of the way. It should snap into place. Okay. Now, slide release. When it fits into the gun, this little spring actually goes underneath this top pin. That's why you have to put this pin in first. Okay. So you slide this in like that, just along the left-hand side of the trigger, and it pops right in. Put your other steel pin, put it in from the right-hand side. Go ahead and push on it a little bit, and it'll pop in most of the way. Now, the hole on the end of this thing is what that pin goes through. So you're going to have to take a look from this end and move this piece back and forth a little bit until it's centered, and then the pin will go in the rest of the way. And you can use a little bit of pressure on the punch to get that centered, and that one's done. Last pin holds the trigger housing in place. This pin's polymer, and it goes in really easy, but it doesn't have any notches in it to hold it in the center, so you just have to eyeball it really close until you get it, until you get it right where you want it. And if you're anal about it like me, you'll probably go too far a couple times, and you'll have to go back and forth a little bit. But eventually, you'll get it in, and you'll have your frame. Okay? All the pieces are back where we started. Now we just gotta put the slide together. Okay? You start with your empty slide. First thing that we're gonna put in is this little plunger. Make sure you don't forget the spring. It just sits in this little hole, like that. Next, take the extractor, put it in like this, okay, with the round end towards the back. Just push it in like that, and if you push down on this, it'll capture the extractor, so it won't fall out. Next thing we're going to do is this. This is the plunger that puts pressure on this extractor that lets it pivot in and out as it moves around the cases. And this just goes in that hole right there. Okay. Next, the striker assembly goes in the other hole, just like that. The striker plate is next, and what you want to do with this is put it in the groove, and you're going to push up on the striker plate while you push in on this plastic piece with your punch. Okay, it'll go up, and then you're going to push it on the plunger while it goes up the rest of the way until it clicks into place. After this, we just got to put the barrel and the recoil spring back in. So take your barrel, slide it in with the locking lug facing up. Up meaning upward from your hand. If it's in the slide, it's facing down. And take your recoil spring, stick it into this spot right here, and then you'll need to compress it so that it will slip over the end of the locking lug, like that. Okay? You take your assembled slide and your assembled frame, slip it over the frame rails, and it's done. Oh, lens cap is flipping around. Okay? Make sure it works. The trigger. Now, let the trigger reset. Okay, that works. If you just pull on the side, that doesn't fire, which is good. That means this little safety thing's working. If you want, you can test the magazine release, or the slide release. That works too. Okay. Everything looks good. Got all the parts back together, nothing left over. If you get that far, then you're pretty much done. Go ahead and put this all back together. Like I said, this is my carry gun. So I'm just going to put everything right back on it, and it's going to go back in the holster. Alright, if you have any questions, just go ahead and send me a message and I'll answer it as best I can. If you have any requests, send me those as well. If you have any comments, post those right down there. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.